On the very last podcast episode I did, I said that the Arizona Diamondbacks should not buy at the MLB trade deadline, and that it was likely that they were going to miss the playoffs because of how poorly they performed against the Washington Nationals and had just come off of a extra innings loss against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it looked like the Pittsburgh Pirates were going to go on and win the series and send the Diamondbacks back down to send them out of the wild card. But no, that is exactly what didn't happen. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are now are now buyers at the MLB trade deadline because of Brandon Fott, Eduardo Rodriguez, Gabriel Moreno, Gerardo Castillo, and so many more players. So let's get right into it. The Arizona Diamondbacks won the series against the Pittsburgh Pirates after an incredible, resilient performance against the Pittsburgh Pirates on Tuesday night, where they were up 6-0 thanks to some stellar pitching from Brandon Fott and some good situational hitting for the most part, although the Diamondbacks were a 3 for 27 with runners in scoring position during this game and still managed to score 8 runs. Just incredible, but also shows that they're so close in these games to breaking it open, but they just cannot hit with runners in scoring position. They're last in the league in hitting with runners in scoring position since the beginning of June. They're, I believe, 25th overall with hitting with runners in scoring position overall this season. So it's been a real struggle for them. But regardless, they were still up 6-0. Brandon Fott completely shoved 7 innings, 101 pitches, 0 runs, 6 hits. Wow, can't talk. 1 walk and 4 Ks. He's phenomenal. Remember when the Diamondbacks gave him that pretty sizable contract extension at the end of the 2024 season? Well, if for the next 18 months, Brandon Fott regressed. He did not show that he was worth that contract at all. But since coming back from Reno, the reset that he needed in Reno, he got everything right. And he has done nothing but shove since coming back. His ERA went from mid 5.5s to 4. And it's going to continue to drop because he's going to continue to shove. Everything is working for him right now. The fastball accuracy is great. The curveball, the changeup, even the sweeper is starting to sweep again, which is something that was really worked really well for him in the 2023 and 2024. The cutter is starting to play really well as well. He has a great pitch mix, and it looks like the Diamondbacks made the right decision to extend him 2 years ago. Now, it took us a while to get there, and I will be lying if I said and I've always been a Brandon Fott believer, but I would be lying if I said that when he got sent down to Reno, if he went down and continued to get shelled, I didn't know if we'd ever see Brandon Fott play many more meaningful games in an Arizona Diamondbacks uniform. But thankfully, he's come back, and he has been the catalyst, along with Eduardo Rodriguez and Merrill Kelly, to this Diamondbacks team making a push for the National League wildcard, and has just done an unbelievable job at carrying this team, especially when this bullpen is super depleted because they've been used so much due to Cole Drake and Mitch Bratt not making it very far into games. Brandon Fott has carried and is finally fully stretched out again. It took him a while to get fully stretched out, but 101 pitches means that we got full force, high octane Brandon Fott for the rest of the season. I expect many more performances like this from him for the rest of the season, and it's going to be great for the Arizona Diamondbacks to have this guy in the rotation who looks like a guy who can help your team make a deep playoff run. Then we have to talk about Eduardo Rodriguez's performance on, well, actually, we'll save that. Anyway, so the game on Tuesday, the Diamondbacks were up 6-0. Then it all fell apart. We saw Ryan Thompson give up 3 runs in the eighth inning, and we saw Paul Sewald gave up 3 runs, including 2 home runs in the 9th inning to tie the game. Juan Murillo came in and miraculously saved the game and sent it to extra innings, where the Diamondbacks ultimately won 8-7, thanks to the incredible pitching from Kevin Ginkel and Gerardo Carrillo. Gerardo Carrillo is a guy that they brought up into the bullpen from AAA. He signed a minor league contract with the Diamondbacks less than a month ago, and they brought him up, and he has done incredibly well in his first few appearances, including 2 innings, no hits, 1 walk, which they intentionally walked someone and immediately got a double play in that inning, which was really impressive. And he had 3 strikeouts. So maybe the Diamondbacks found a diamond in the rough. But the story from this game was Paul Sewald and Ryan Thompson. Just the fact that these 2 guys who were cornerstones for the Diamondbacks run to the World Series in 2023, but you could argue Ryan Thompson and Paul Sewald were 2 of the biggest reasons why the Diamondbacks didn't make the playoffs in 2024. Sewald left after that season. Thompson had a bounce back season last year and continued to pitch really well into this season until in the last month things have not gone well. And for Sewald, it's just been, he's given up a lot of home runs. He somehow managed to get the Diamondbacks a lot of saves, but it's ultimately caught up to him. It seems like teams have kind of figure out Paul Sewald the later they get into the season. And it seems like his fastball and his sweeper aren't breaking and aren't riding and rising. And there's not that late movement that fools so many hitters. It feels like that's gone down a little bit, and teams are just hammering Sewald right now. And so Torey Lovello decided, hey, it is closer by committee now. And a couple guys in that closer by committee conversation, Jonathan Loaisiga, Brandon Garcia, who has been the Diamondbacks' best reliever so far this season, Juan Murillo, who has just electric stuff, over 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and a pretty good pitch mix as well. So the Diamondbacks figured out that they probably need reliever help at the deadline as well, or at least they need to find someone who can close games for them, because Paul Sewald is not going to be the answer going forward. And we also need to talk about James McCann, who's continued to hit really well since coming back from injury. He had 4 hits in 6 plate appearances. All of them were singles, and he had the game-winning RBI single for the Diamondbacks in the top of the 12th inning. Arenado was 3 for 5 that game as well with an RBI. Gabriel Moreno continues to play incredible baseball, and we'll get to him with Wednesday's game as well. Perdomo was one guy who struggled. He had a triple to lead off the game, but then went 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts to end that game. Corbin Carroll played really well. He had 2 hits, an RBI, and a walk. And we saw Max Kepler get a hit, have 2 walks as well. And Ryan Waldschmidt had 2 hits and scored a run. And Ildemar Vargas had a hit and an RBI as well. So just great stuff from this Diamondbacks team. The resilience to still fight back after giving up a 6-0 lead. It really showed some playoff mettle. And the Diamondbacks lead the league this season in games won by 1 run, which is a really, really good sign that this team can make a deep playoff run because they've been forged by fire. They don't just go out and dominate teams, but they muck it up. They win these close ball games and they play these close ball games every single day, which one is a roller coaster ride for us as fans because it is incredibly heart pumping baseball to watch. Baseball is usually relaxing and it's kind of fun to watch a game where you're up 6-0 and your heart rate doesn't get up and you're like, man, we're just gonna cruise to victory, especially if Ryan Thompson can come in and clean up this 8th inning and only give up maybe a run or two. Instead, he gives up 3. So they bring out the closer, Paul Sewald. Then he gives up 3 more runs, and all of a sudden, the season felt like it might be over. The season felt like it might be over, and they just found a way. The Diamondbacks this season, and that's the thing that I've loved the most about this Diamondbacks team this season, is that they've just somehow found a way. Okay, moving on to Wednesday's game, Eduardo Rodriguez had his best performance of the season. 8 innings, 105 pitches, 0 runs. He gave up 5 hits and 1 walk and had 2 Ks. Rodriguez said, I need to get through this baseball game and I'm pitching to contact. I'm not going after strikeouts. I'm just attacking the strike zone. And let's see. I don't have he threw 73 strikes out of his 105 pitches. Just incredible display. That means over 66% of his pitches landed 4 strikes. And the Pirates, who have one of the top offenses in baseball, maybe the top, I'm not sure now, after this Diamondback series where they held them to 3 runs and 0 runs in 2 games, but one of the best offenses in baseball this season. And we've just seen this Diamondbacks team, and especially Eduardo Rodriguez, come up huge in these situations. When the team needs Eduardo to shove, he absolutely shoves. I mean, it's just been incredible to watch this season, and he did it again. And I was shocked to see him come out for that bottom of the 8th inning. I thought, man, maybe he's just going to get 1 runner out, or maybe he's just going to get a chance at a runner or 2. But he went the full 8th inning, only did it in 8 pitches, by the way. He was at 97 at the end of the 7th, was at 105 at the end of the 8th. Just a really good job pitching to contact. And again, it just goes to show that this Diamondbacks team plays incredible defense. Jorge Barosa is a complete 0 on offense, but his defensive ability in the outfield is incredible. And he made some huge plays this series defensively that should not be overlooked as well. As far as the offense goes, the offense really what came down to a Corbin Carroll double in the 3rd. Then Gabriel Moreno hit a 2-run home run that was assisted by the wind. It would have been off the top of the wall had there not been wind pushing out towards the outfield. But Gabriel Moreno gets a 2-run home run to put the Diamondbacks up 2-0, giving Rodriguez the ability to pitch to contact because he had the lead. He could risk giving up a few hits as long as he didn't give up the big one. Then we saw Max Kepler, who also went 2 for 4, and he had a RBI single later in the game. He had a 1-run single in the 6th inning that scored Gabriel Moreno, who got on base later in the game as well. So the Diamondbacks just did just enough yesterday to win the game, and we saw Brandon Garcia come in and get the save. He gave up one walk, but had 2 strikeouts and completely dominated that ninth inning. And so this Diamondbacks team now is in a position where they're 57-52. They have one more series against the Guardians before the trade deadline. And assuming that they can go in and Mitch Bratt and Cole Drake can keep things close and this Diamondbacks team can win 2 out of 3 against the Guardians, they could have sole possession of the second place wildcard spot heading into the MLB trade deadline, which gives Mike Hazen the chance to make this roster better. Now, we're going to see, because there are limitations to what this team can do. Some of those limitations being they can't go over the luxury tax and they're only $10 million away. So are we expecting to see a Tariq Skubal or another big name come to the Diamondbacks? I don't think so. Could the Diamondbacks figure out a way to get the Giants to pay a little bit of Robbie Ray's contract? It would probably require a few more prospect assets to get the Giants to do that. But could Robbie Ray come back to Arizona and help carry this Diamondbacks team to the playoffs? That's absolutely an opportunity on the table. Now, we can also see there's also been guys like Lowe on the Reds linked to this Diamondbacks team. And so I'm not sure who they're going to go out and get, but I know who they need. And their biggest positions of need right now, in my opinion, one, left-handed bat that can potentially play first base as well. What this team needs more than anything is offensive firepower and guys that can continue to provide a spark on this offense. And if you have an offense, even if your pitching is down and you have guys like Bratt and Cole Drake starting, which hopefully shouldn't continue for too much longer, and we'll get to that in a minute. But you just need guys on offense that can get on base and help you score runs. And the more runs the Diamondbacks score, the more likely they are to win games. So that's number one. Can they get a left-handed bat that could potentially play first base? If they do that, it might be a home run already. The second thing they need is they need a relief pitcher, maybe that can potentially close games, or at least a relief pitcher that can be a high leverage guy similar to a Kevin Ginkel, where you bring him in against some of the best parts of the other team's lineups, whether that's the 7th or the 8th or potentially even the 9th inning going forward. We'll see what the Diamondbacks decide to do with Kevin Ginkel, but the Diamondbacks need to go out and get another relief arm that can pitch well in high leverage moments. Then last, they need a starting level pitcher to replace Cole Drake or Mitch Bratt until we get the guys healthy. And we know who the guys are. It's Michael Soroka, it's Ryan Nelson, it's Corbin Burns, and it's Zach Gallen. Now, if Zach Gallen comes back, is it going to be any better than what Cole Drake or Mitch Bratt do? Maybe not. So maybe we don't necessarily want Gallen to come back, but if they can find a starting pitcher out there below the tax threshold, that would be a huge opportunity as well. But in my opinion, what they need help with more than anything is a left-handed bat, because if they make the playoffs, Max Kepler cannot play in the playoffs. So their left-handed DH basically is Adrian Del Castillo, who has some pop but has not hit consistently enough for any Diamondbacks fan to feel comfortable with that being our main left-handed bat off the bench. Obviously, Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Perdomo can all bat left-handed. But they need more. They need more left-handed batting, especially with all the right-handed pitching they're going to face in the playoffs. So that's what the Diamondbacks need at the trade deadline. Is Nathaniel Lowe a candidate? I'm not sure. We're going to see. Maybe they try and offload some salary. Maybe they take Lourdes Gurriel's contract and try and offload that somewhere. Maybe they can get off some salary someplace else. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but Hazen has a chance now to go out and buy and put the prospects on the table, put his cojones on the table and go for it, because what Brandon Fott, Merrill Kelly, and Eduardo Rodriguez showed is that you surround those three with maybe another pitcher to a good bullpen and enough offense. They're pitching well enough this season that they can get you to the playoffs, and they can maybe even take you on a deep run into the playoffs because of how well they're pitching. Now, it's not just guys at the deadline that the Diamondbacks are going to get, but it's also guys that they might get back soon off the injured list. And I believe once Jordan Lawler comes back, and hopefully he can come back soon and remains healthy for the rest of the season, but can Jordan Lawler be the everyday left fielder, or at least split with Max Kepler? I think that's a good spot for him. Listened to Snake's Territory yesterday, and Jack Summers and Jesse Friedman both agreed that Lawler playing in center might be taxing on his legs, so try and keep him healthy and just let him play in left field. Diamondbacks also have Justin Martinez and Michael Soroka, who are working their way back. We cannot forget about Tommy Troy, who had kind of assumed everyday center field duties over Ryan Waldschmidt, over Tim Tawa, before he went out with an injury. And then further on in the future, Corbin Burns, AJ Puck, Zach Gallen, who recently started throwing again. Those are all guys that can come back. And as long as the Diamondbacks can continue to win baseball games and stay in the hunt, if they can get those guys back, they don't need to do a whole lot at the trade deadline because they have reinforcements hopefully coming back. We'll see if that ends up happening or not. And then there's one more bonus guy to watch, a guy that if you are familiar with it, or if you're familiar with the Diamondbacks and watched them at the beginning of the season, there's a guy by the name of Jose Fernandez who catapulted the Diamondbacks start to the season, where they started out, I believe it was like a 15-8, 15-10 record to start the season. He was a big reason why. Struggled in May and June, got sent down to Reno. But in the month of July, first baseman Jose Fernandez is hitting .373, .437, and is slugging .680. So he has a 1.117 OPS in the month of July in Reno. And we know it's Reno, so everyone's stats are juiced there. But if he's figured it out at the plate again, maybe it's worth it for the Diamondbacks to bring him up. Not sure how many options Locklear or Tawa have left, but he's definitely a guy where if you're looking for a guy to come up and provide an offensive spark, looks like Jose Fernandez could be that guy. That could provide an offensive spark at first base, which the Diamondbacks need, but they need less because they've been able to kind of piece it together recently with Tawa. Vargas has started hitting again, and Tyler Locklear. So there's a lot of avenues that this Diamondbacks team can take going forward. And it also wouldn't surprise me if some of these guys, like a Tommy Troy, unfortunately, a Jose Fernandez, I would not be surprised at all if the Diamondbacks really wanted to go for it this season and they needed to put one of these really intriguing young prospects on the table. Could one of them be gone at the trade deadline? Yes. I hope not. We're going to see. But it's going to be exciting. The Guardians series, just a quick preview of that. They don't hit, but they also don't give up runs. So expect more of kind of what happened in the Pirates series, at least in the first and third game, where a 3-2 game, it could be 2-2 going into the eighth inning, and the Diamondbacks need a clutch hit and clutch pitching. Could be a 3-0 game where Merrill Kelly shows up on Sunday and absolutely shoves again. The biggest thing is we need Mitch Bratt and Cole Drake to pitch well. The Guardians struggle against left-handed pitching, and both of those guys throw left-handed. So it's going to be this. It's kind of make it or break it time for these guys. If either of these guys looks uncomfortable against against the Guardians, then it means that they're just not major league ready yet. And it's going to be a low bar for them to clear. They just need to keep the Diamondbacks in the game. And we might see Slade Ciccone, former Diamondback pitcher that we gave up for Josh Naylor. We might see him this series as well, so that will be a fun matchup to watch as well. But to close out this Diamondbacks portion of the podcast, we got to talk about Gabriel Moreno on one side and Geraldo Perdomo on the other side. And Gabriel Moreno's continues to be the first or second best catcher in baseball. He has a 26-game on-base streak and recently broke Corbin Carroll's record of 45 straight starts where he has reached base. He has a 3.1 fWAR, which is second among all catchers, only behind Dylan Dingler on the Tigers. He leads all catchers in batting average. And why is he such a good hitter? Well, it's because he can put the ball exactly where it needs to go. And his at-bat quality is incredible. He sees the most amount of pitches, even more than Perdomo, on this Diamondbacks team. If he needs to hit it the other way, he can do that. If he needs to hit for power, he's shown that he can do that, and he can hit pull side. When he needs to get the ball in the air to get a runner home, like he did in the Pirates series, he can do that as well. He has been the Diamondbacks' best player since the middle of May. He has been incredible. And he's healthy, which is huge. And I'm hoping to see a lot more of James McCann this season because one, Gabriel Moreno is such a valuable player at the DH position, and he's hitting so well right now that he's a great person to put in the DH slot, as well as Ketel Marte when he needs days off. But James McCann has been hitting the baseball really well. So having McCann in that DH spot would be pretty great. Or sorry, not McCann, but having Gabriel Moreno in that DH spot would be good to help keep him healthy. But he's also a great defensive catcher. So you do want him behind the plate. And it seems like he has really, really good relationships with Eduardo Rodriguez, pretty good relationship with Merrill Kelly behind the plate. And so you also need his defensive ability at catcher as well. But I expect the Diamondbacks to more utilize him as a hitter than as a catcher going forward because they have James McCann, who they trust back there. And maybe you even see Adrian Del Castillo catch some games just to continue to keep Gabby healthy and available for every single game going forward. Maybe we'll see. It wouldn't surprise me if they try and find Gabby a day off in this Guardians series, especially with how poor the Guardians hitters are. Hopefully the Diamondbacks offense can get hot and score 10 runs, and they can get Gabby and they can get Perdomo and they can get Carroll out of the game early. It would be nice to see them do that a few more times this season to get those guys some much needed rest. But yeah, Gabriel Moreno has been absolutely incredible, and he very well is on his way to being, a top 5 to 10 player in the National League. He could very well finish in the top 10 in MVP voting if he continues to hit at this level. I'm just so excited to see what happens for him going forward. Unfortunately, the Diamondbacks don't have him locked down to a long-term contract. Hopefully that's something that they can get ironed out before next season, but it's likely that Gabby's going to be a very, very high-paid player on another team in a few years. So I'm just going to enjoy Gabriel Moreno right now in a Diamondbacks uniform while I can. And he's just been an absolute treat to watch. And on the flip side, I have to talk about someone who has contributed to someone who has contributed to the Diamondbacks' lack of offensive production with runners in scoring position this season. And it's Geraldo Perdomo. the Diamondbacks continue to shuffle the top 4 in the lineup, whether it's Carroll leading off or Marte leading off. Now Marte's batting 4th. And Gabby was batting 4th, but now he's batting 3rd, and Perdomo's batting 2nd. And if this lineup is ever going to work, it's really just been one guy that's been the problem more than anyone else, and it's Geraldo Perdomo. So the Diamondbacks can try whatever lineup they want. They can try whatever lineup they want, but if Geraldo Perdomo is going to continue to hit for a 149 batting average with runners in scoring position this season, this lineup's not going to work. His weighted on base average for his career is 0.341, and this season it's only a 0.257 with runners in scoring position. If the Diamondbacks offense is going to explode for the last 2 months of the season, they need Geraldo Perdomo to get back to being Geraldo Perdomo, which is driving in runs. He just hasn't been able to do that this season, and he is constantly in positions with runners in scoring position. I don't know if he leads the team in plate appearances with runners in scoring position, but when you hit around Carroll and you hit around Marte and you hit around Moreno, chances are those guys are going to be on base a lot and are going to be on base in scoring position a lot. So no matter what lineup configuration the Diamondbacks go with, they need Geraldo Perdomo to drive in runs. If not, they just have to move him to the bottom of the order. Maybe you put him back at 9 where he was at the beginning of his career. Maybe that's what you go with. But right now, he just has not been able to produce with runners in scoring position. And it's really handcuffed this Diamondbacks lineup at the top of the order. We heard Garagiola say so many times in the Pirates series, Ketel Marte, he's batting in the 4th spot, but no one is on base. Like, it's just like he's leading off essentially because there aren't any runs for Marte to drive in. And a big reason why is because of Perdomo. He just has not been able to get on base with runners in scoring position to keep rallies going. And the walk numbers are getting better. He's walked a ton this month, but the batting average is not going up. The good news is that Fangraphs still expects him to finish near his career batting averages, which means we could potentially see two of the best months of Geraldo Perdomo's career, hopefully in August and September. Am I expecting a bounce back? I don't know. Am I praying for one? Absolutely. So I'm excited to see what this Diamondbacks team can do, especially Geraldo Perdomo, because if this Diamondbacks team is going to reach its potential, it's going to be because of Geraldo Perdomo offensively. They can bring in a left-handed DH, but the most important person to get this Diamondbacks offense firing on all cylinders is Geraldo Perdomo, getting back to being Geraldo Perdomo.